Welcome to this delightful poetry session. Let's enjoy and understand A Thing of Beauty by John Keats. This piece is an extract from Keats' poem titled Endymion, a Poetic Romance. The poem draws on the mythical Greek figure of a shepherd named Endymion, who lived on Mount Latmus. He had a vision of the moon goddess Cynthia and fell in love with her. So he set off to the underworld to seek the lady he saw in his dream. We'll begin with recitation to create the atmosphere and follow up with poem's appreciation. If you'd like, you may skip the recitation and proceed to the explanation of the poem. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but will keep a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams, and health and quiet breathing. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth. Spite of despondence of the inhuman dearth of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over-darkened ways made for our searching. Yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. Such the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep. And such are daffodils, with the green world they live in, and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert make against the hot season the mid-forest break, rich with a sprinkling of fair musk-rose blooms. And such too is the grandeur of the dooms we have imagined for the mighty dead, all lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink pouring into us from the heavens' brink. If Wordsworth is the poet of nature, Keats is the poet of beauty, and in this poem he brings to light his philosophical musings on the nature of true beauty and the power that it holds over human life. The poem begins with a line that has now become proverbial. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. In the first three lines, Keats emphasizes the everlasting bliss that a beautiful thing is capable of giving. Its beauty keeps on increasing and never fades away. A beautiful thing acts like a bower, that is, a quiet, shady, comforting shelter or a safe haven. It also provides a place for a peaceful sleep, full of sweet dreams and rejuvenation. Waking up from this refreshing sleep, we realize that we have forged a bond with the earth. Therefore, a beautiful thing makes us alive and sensitive. It connects us with nature. Thus, every morning we make a wreath or a garland of flowers. That is to say that we forge a beautiful, meaningful relationship with earthly pleasures and joys. These joyful experiences and memories bind us to this land. As we know that the human condition is riddled with some existential problems, suffering and sadness, yet Keats affirms that despite this despondence, hopelessness, lack of kind and noble people, gloomy days, evil and unpleasant environment, There will always be beauty in some shape to drive away these negative forces from our depressed and darkened spirits. We have talked on and on about a thing of beauty, but what beautiful things are we talking about exactly? Well, Keats enlists these beautiful things in a rambling style, jumping from one thing to another, as if lost in a trance or ecstasy. We derive priceless joy from the sun, the moon, the trees, which bless us with their vitality and bounty. The poet also adores the pure innocence of the sheep and the bright, lively daffodils in their green background. The clear rills or streams make a cool cover which protects themselves during the scorching hot season. Keats also paints a picture of the forest, sprinkled with fragrant musk roses in full bloom. In the last 5 lines, Keats goes beyond the physical and concrete beauty to address a more abstract one. He celebrates the great inspirational stories that we have read about the brave, mighty heroes who laid down their lives for their country or for the sake of humanity. Towards the end of the poem, Keats reiterates that all these beauties are an endless fountain of eternal joy that keep pouring down on us from heaven. The central idea of the poem is that ideal beauty is an eternal source of joy and leaves an indelible impression on us. Whenever we are afflicted with pain, sorrow, and hopelessness, a beautiful thing protects us from harsh realities and provides us comfort. The poem is replete with literary devices, which adds to its aesthetic appeal. Let's go through these devices one by one. We can observe several examples of alliteration, that is, the repetition of same sound in close succession. Band to bind, noble natures, sprouting a shady boon, simple sheep, cooling covert, have heard. The poem is a visual feast to the readers and the listeners. There's an abundant use of imagery. For instance, a flowery band or a garland of flowers. And the natural world, the sun, the moon, green trees, the sheep, the bright, beautiful daffodils, the clear blue rills, and forest decorated with musk roses. A flowery band employs metaphor. It stands for the beautiful relationship that we make with the earthly things. The poem also employs metaphor in immortal drink. It's the beautiful things that are referred to as immortal drink from heaven, which never runs out. The poet has also used inversion in the following lines. Therefore, on every morrow are we reading, instead of we are reading. So he has changed the natural order of the words. This is called inversion. We also have an example of antithesis, that is, placing two opposite words together. We can observe this in trees old and young. Enjambment can be observed throughout the poem. That is, the thought or the feeling of the poet has stepped over to the next line without any punctuation mark. Notice the break between the following lines. It will never pass into nothingness. But instead of writing this in the same line, the poet has given a break. It will never, line break, pass into nothingness. That sums up our discussion of the poem. I hope you enjoyed and found it useful. Thanks for watching.